Everybody. Hello, welcome everybody. This is Bill Thomas. Shan White is also on the call, but we're just going to wait another minute or so if you will be patient with us. And we just want a few more attendees to show up. I realize that these all of these web conferencing platforms are always different, and they have their own unique behaviors. So sometimes people are not quite sure, am I in the right place? And can you hear me? Can you see me? But just a few housekeeping tips. Maybe this will help. On the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a little chat box, chat area. And if maybe you could do me a big favor and just type in your names or hello or something along those lines, and that'll just make sure that the system is working properly. And we'll take it from there. But I would very much appreciate it if you could say something. Um, let's see. Now, I just saw somebody's hand go up. Oh, hello. 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 There's a Donna here. Hi, Donna. Let me see if anybody else is here. Um, yeah. Have you found the chat area? I know there's some other people here. I see their names, but I would like it if they would really, I would really appreciate it if they could just type in if they could just type in hello or something, and that way I'll know that you're here and that you're with us. Uh, and I'm not sure if we're having a problem. It's almost as if um, one or two of them are not able to type in, because there is the one person who did, and that's Donna. And welcome, Donna. I'm not sure where you're coming from, Donna, but I appreciate the fact that you typed in your hello. Um, no, I'm not going to invite that person as a speaker. Sorry. Oh, that's a request. Okay, let me see what the request is. Um, hmm. Yeah, I don't know what the request is, but it's like North Carolina. Fantastic, Donna. Wow. And originally from the District of Columbia, called Washington, D.C., which, of course, is one of the great American cities or metroplexes, whatever we want to call it these days, right? I think you probably are enjoying a quality of life in North Carolina, Donna, that uh, other denizens of, what do you call it, DC, are not enjoying these days. But hey, it's still a beautiful city, and North Carolina is a great state. Um, Now, Lily, is it Lily? I assume. Lily, I guess you're not able to use the chat area. It's down at the bottom of the right-hand margin there. Yeah, I know. I do too, Donna. I love DC, and that's what Donna was saying. It really is. It's one of my favorite places to be, live in, and work in. And then it's especially good when you have your favorite uncle and your favorite first cousins who live just outside of there. So all you got to do is take the metro in and, and visit when you need to visit. Um, yeah, I don't know what's happening with Lily. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm not. All I'm seeing is that you are requesting something, but I don't know what the request is. And I do find it sort of interesting that somehow you can't use the chat area. Hmm. Um, okay. Well, so be it. Maybe you're using maybe you're using a device, huh? Is that it, Lily? Maybe you're using a device that typing is not as easy or convenient to you to do. But if that's the case, not a problem. Um, well, listen, we have waited long enough, and we have our attendees here. So thank you for coming. Welcome to Shan White's presentation of divorce recovery, leveraging your inner strength. I know this is going to be an exciting and very informative webinar for you. And I'm going to stop talking and say, here is Shan White, our host and presenter today.
Well, thank you, Bill. Hi, everybody. This is Shan White, and we're going to be presenting Divorce Recovery Leveraging Your Inner Strength. Welcome, and thank you for coming. Uh, as Bill mentioned, some of you may be on a device where you either don't see the text box in your bottom right hand corner, or maybe you don't even have it. But I think I will do as Bill did a sound check again. If you are able to hear me well and have the ability to type in the chat box, will you just type yes for yes, you can hear me? Uh, or if you can't hear me, how would you know to type in the chat box, right? So for those of you that can hear me, let's just make sure we got a good sound check. So type in there yes, and then Bill, I'm going to just momentarily ask you to unmute yourself and let me know if we have gotten some yeses.
Yes, we have. And guess what? We even found Lily. She's in Connecticut. That's what happened. She's out there, way out there, up in New England.
Oh,
And
what a
that,
beautiful state. Welcome, Lily and Donna and everybody else here. So we will go ahead and get started. Uh, my name again is Shan. So let me tell you a little bit about myself very quickly. I've graduated from the official coach training school, Tony Robbins. Most of you probably have heard of him, known as Robbins Madonna's Training. I'm a certified life coach specializing in divorce recovery. I also have a bachelor's in theology and a minor in counseling. And I too have experienced the untold heartache of divorce and made it my mission to learn strategies, tools, tips, techniques to first help myself and now certified to be able to help you to not only survive but thrive during this transition in your life that is oh so difficult. Also, I'd like to acknowledge our gracious webinar host, Bill Thomas, with leadership skills and training and executive development coaching. Bill and I have had the opportunity to um, become collaborative partners, and he is an amazing man, and want to thank him for hosting this webinar tonight. So let's get into it. Uh, what is it that you want out of this tonight? Uh, do you want to, there's so many different aspects of divorce that it has an effect on us. Is it a matter of reclaiming your confidence and self worth, which is, a big issue? Do you want to maybe defeat those nagging feelings of failure? Do you want to put on the brakes of the blame game? Make peace with the new reality that is your life? Overcome the sense of overwhelm? Again, for those of you that, by the way, this is intended to be extremely interactive because I want to hear from you, your struggles, your thoughts, your input. So I'm going to be depending on you to type in the chat box if you've got the ability. So go ahead and type in for me if you would. What is it that you most want? And if it's something different that's, not on the list, that's fine too. But what is the most important thing for you? And then, Bill, I am going to ask you to let me know what kind of feedback we're getting. And no pressure on the audience, but I tell you what, if I don't hear back from you guys, then it's going to be, the Bill and Shan show. And that's not what this is about. This is about you. So, Bill, what kind of feedback are we getting in the chat box?
Well, one thing I do have to admit, and Lily it's Lily and Mary Ellen, both watching this and listening to this webinar. So there are two for the price of the one Lily, which is nice. But I haven't seen any feedback yet about which of those areas, and I'm going to stop talking real quickly so you guys can see that slide again. But basically, Shan would just like it if you could just share with us which of those issues and struggles you might be trying to deal with today.
Or anything else that you would like to get out of this workshop. In the meantime, while we're waiting for some feedback, I will tell you that for me, I think the biggest issue for me was a sense of self worth, which is very common. When your marriage breaks up, you feel a sense of rejection, you feel a sense of a lack of worthiness. This person has uh, left me for high and dry, or I chose to leave them. But the issue of self worth, I think, is a very important one, and certainly a common denominator between us, with all of us, just a sense of feeling, unworthy. And then those lingering questions of, will I ever be loved again? Will I ever find someone who adores and appreciates me the way that I want to be adored and appreciated? And of course, we in turn want to do the same for them. Uh, Bill,
I,
what?
I'm oh yeah, I'm getting feedback here. uh, let's see. Well, one person, I'm not gonna name names if that's okay with you guys right now. One person got divorced in 1986, got a divorce in Tijuana, and then after returning back to the place that they were living in from Cali, got a second divorce, married once, divorced that same person twice. Uh, then that person says that they have remained single with 5 children since then. Uh, and also that she joined the webinar to hear what I could have heard then. I left him, and I guess that is it, isn't it? For that person. Let's see. And did I say they remain single with 5 children? Yes. Then all of the issues and struggles that are listed on the slide are indicated by another person, especially making peace with their new reality. They were happily married, supposedly for 38 years. And also, I should tell people to scroll down the scroll bar, then they will find the chat bar. Okay. Um, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Because what I'm seeing is, I think, a little bit different than what the rest of you see. So thank you for that advice. Please scroll down the scroll bar, and that way you'll find the chat bar area. And I think that is on the browser type. Also, it may have something to do with the browser type of browser you're using as well. So that's a good piece of advice. But yeah, all all five issues that were on that slide um, are what at least one, if not two, people are dealing with right now. Yeah, and I like that. We were happily married, supposedly, for 38 years. That's a long time, and I guess there were some assumptions going on there. But anyway, I'm off.
Well, first of all, thank you for all of your input and your feedback. And also, thank you for letting the other participants know to scroll down on their toolbar so that they can write in the text box. I appreciate that. Um, for you who were married 38 years, I'm so sorry for what you went through. And the other gal who was married to the same person twice. Uh, Change is so hard and so difficult, and that's one of the things that we're going to be addressing tonight is learning how to gracefully deal with change that naturally we hate. So I believe that your screen is back up on the screen for you. By the way, just so you know, when Bill, our gracious host, talks, it goes back to him and his picture, and then when he mutes himself, it goes back to the PowerPoint presentation. So, in order to do this, we're going to need to kickstart a new mindset. Mindset is defined as a set of beliefs or a way of thinking that determines one's behavior, outlook, and mental attitude. And mindset is more than just what you're thinking, but it's also what is in your soul, in your belief systems, in your heart as well. So don't let that word mindset uh, narrow your definition to just your mind. It's your whole being. And recovering from divorce starts with your mindset, a new way of thinking, feeling that's going to determine your behavior, your outlook, your attitude, the way you feel about things. Uh, and if you would, again, I told you this is going to be very interactive. So, regardless of where your mindset has been in the past, just in one or two words, write in the chat box for me what type of mindset you want to choose for your future. Is it hopeful? Is it positive? Is it uh, more joyous? What is it that you want for your new transformed mindset for the future? And Bill, I'm going to ask you as you get some input, even if it's just a couple, just let me know what it is that our beautiful participants want for their future, because that helps me to understand where they want to go.
Um, yes, Shan. Apparently, Lily, are you able to hear me now? Um, or has the sound still stopped out there in New England? That's what she just posted that. Um, yeah. Lily says that the sound just stopped and that she can't hear us in New England, but Donna can hear us and other people can hear us, right, Donna? And I'm, by the way, I'm replying to you, Donna. Um,
Okay. So, and that's okay that there's, no particular feedback, although I would like some moving forward. In the meantime, Bill, if you want to write her back and maybe have her to check her sound, her audio, things like that, we will continue on. So, mindset. Speaking of mindset, it truly is. It's one of the most important tools to recover from divorce. Fabian Fredrickson, by the way, who was recognized by Inc. magazine to be one of the fastest growing privately owned companies, said this about mindset. She said, mindset will determine, look at that, 90% of your results, whether positive or negative. So you get to choose. Uh, so what do you want your energy to focus on? Do you want it to focus on positive or negative? Because what you choose is what you are going to attract. Universal law of attraction states that whatever you put out in this world is what you're going to attract. Or another way of saying it is that whatever energy or vibration you put out in this world, the same energy is going to be what is attracted to you. As a matter of fact, in the pre questionnaire to the webinar, one gal said, uh, she said, how do I get my husband to agree to terms and to the terms that they're trying to agree to and move on? And I have to be honest with you. I thought about this law of attraction, and that is this. Number one, we know that we can't change anybody but ourselves. And if we're going to change anything, one of the things that I highly urge you to consider is what it is that you're putting out in this world, because that's what you're getting back. So, for example, are you getting a lot of disgruntledness, arguments, irritation? Then, in that case, I really highly recommend you consider what is it that I'm putting out there that I'm attracting this. For example, and this would be completely natural. Am I, when I'm interacting with that X or soon to be X, is it full of irritation, resentment, frustration, things like that? If you consider rearranging that and putting out more of the positive, the love, the forgiveness, or even just the mere respect, that is what's going to come back to you. To attract what you truly want, you are going to need the 5-step mindset map that I have developed for you. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. Number one is allow it. Now, this is going to be strange for you and it's going to be a hard pill to take, so I'm warning you now. The art of allowing is a mindset that most do not consider. Uh, this is a technique, if you will, that sets an intention to be open to the inevitable changes that come with divorce, because having that resistance, and we all know when we feel it, don't we? When we feel resistant, shut down, and closed off, and are putting our hands up, uh, uh, with saying no more. And again, it's a natural response. I know that when I first went through divorce, all I wanted to do was just hide on the covers and not talk to anybody or anyone. And so the last thing I wanted to hear is someone to tell me that I'm being resistant or shut down and closed off, which again, we can feel that, can't we? However, if we consider a new perspective of being a little bit less resistant, a little bit more open, it's very much like the Japanese form of martial arts of Aikido. Because Aikido uses the opponent's own movement as leverage. And what I mean by that is that when we are more open to the changes that come as opposed to being resistant, we can actually use that movement, that force, if you will, that's coming at us to our advantage. Eggs, for example, take envision, if you will, a big wrecking ball, and this is probably what it feels like for you, a big wrecking ball in the construction site of your marriage, and it's coming at you. You can either uh, stubbornly try to fight against it and resist it and get just get slapped upside the head with that wrecking ball, or you could jump on that wrecking ball and let it drive you to a new direction in your life. Number two is believe and trust and expect that you will have the quality of life that you want to create. Again, this is tough to do when you're going through something like this, but it starts with allowing what you truly want, but adding that belief and that faith, the faith in yourself, the faith in your future. You are a truly remarkable, special, unique, and valuable human being. There is no one on the face of the earth that is like you. And you have special skills, understanding, knowledge, experience that nobody has in this world. And we need to put the faith and the belief back in ourselves and back in our future. Number three, to think it. What do I mean by that? There are two kinds of thoughts, there's disempowering thoughts and there's empowering thoughts. So, a good example of for a disempowering thought might be, and I've had this and many more, trust me, my ex does everything that he can to mess with me, to drive me crazy. I'm not going to sorry, there should have been a B in there. Be free from this. And you know what? That's a legitimate, honest feeling, but a way in which to turn that around and make it a more empowering thought for yourself without denying the reality of what's going on is, I am able to deal with the frustration right now in my life, not allowing that ex or that soon to be ex to derail me. So consider your thought processes. Is it all focused on the bad, the ugly, the negative, the awful? Or can you take the reality of what's going on and turn it around to something more possible? I'm not asking you to deny the true painfulness of the situation, but the more that you are able to empower yourself, the more you're going to feel in control and that you can navigate through these difficult storms. Number four is to say it. Say out loud what you really want out of your life to yourself and to others who have earned the right to hear your proclamation. I say earn those who have earned the right because all of us know what it's like to share our hearts with those that uh, haven't earned that right. So do be careful when you share your vision for your life, your future, what you want, what you don't want in life anymore. Be sure it's with those that you trust and that have earned that in you, with you. Number five is to action it. Actioning it means walking the talk. So the Bible talks about faith without deeds or action is dead. Your actions must match what your faith or what your belief is for your new life. So that may mean, walking away from a heated argument with the ex or bashing your ex to the kids. You have to actually put into action what you want, what you believe, what you think, and what you have faith for. Uh, and by the way, let's just talk very rapidly about uh, bashing your ex to the kids. I think we all know that that's not a constructive thing to do. But I heard an analogy at a divorce workshop recently that I was participating in, and someone one that said something that I just loved, and that was this. They said, your children are made up of you and your ex. They're part dad and they're part mom. So if you bash your ex to the kids, you are virtually bashing or degrading them because dad is a part of them, mom is a part of them. So if you could think of it in that way, that I'm actually degrading my child, if I'm degrading the ex in front of that, that may give you a new perspective and a new mindset, because I know that your intent would never be to harm, degrade, or hurt your children. So that's something to really consider. All right, so time for some interaction. Uh, which of the 5 step mindset process do you have the most challenge with? Is it, and let me go up very quickly, is it, a sense of trying to open up and allow the goodness to come into your life? Do you struggle with just, believing the faith component? Is it the thinking part? Are you finding that you're having struggles with your thought processes and always pulling you down? Or just saying out loud, speaking what you desire? Or is it just putting the actions, the component to actually walking the talk? Go ahead and type into the chat box. Again, remember, thanks to one of our participants, scroll down to go to the chat box and just one word. Just type in believe, say, think, action, allow. What's the biggest struggle for you? And Bill, I'll ask you to just pop in and let us know what kind of feedback we're getting. I am looking to you folks to give me some type of feedback so I know what the biggest struggles are for you. And as we're um, waiting for Bill to read the feedback, I have to say, for me, it was a matter of actioning it, putting into place those things that I need to change in my behaviors and my actions. My temptation for me was to just go ballistic and act like a little brat, and I didn't even really give a rip, quite frankly, if I was being rude or disrespectful or damaging or harmful. And that's something that I have to admit later on was shameful. And especially once again, if we've got kids in the mix, remember, they are watching you. They are listening to what you say. They are uh, watching your behavior. You are being a model in this difficult situation. And they're going to model that in their own little precious lives later on. So, how wonderful would it be to be able to, a year down the road, see your child also face a difficult situation and just handle it like a champ? And you can say, wow, you really handled that you know that fight with the boy in the schoolyard really well. And they say, well, you know what, I watched my mom go through a really horrible time when she and dad were divorcing, and uh she was my model. She was my hero. She was my stabilizer and didn't cause my situation to be even worse than it needed to be. So Bill, can you hear me okay? Can you
Yes, I
hear me?
can.
Great. And do we have any feedback, my dear?
Yes, we've got a couple. Firstly, after so long since divorcing, the routine stuff isn't an issue. But while I've had a few good dating relationships, another spouse has been a surreal concept. And that's a great way of putting it, because that was exactly the same thing that happened to me as well. So it's somewhere between the think about it and actioning it, I guess. Probably, yeah, somewhere in between there, probably closer to the actioning, since if someone talks about something being surreal, you know, they have thought it through, obviously, you know, uh, and and they've put it in a very nice way. So I agree. That's exactly what happened to me too. Um, at one point in my life, another spouse was a surreal concept. So much so that I said, "Well, you know, hey, you know, things will happen when they are going to happen." You know, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say anything about the fact that, you know, my past smoking of certain types of substances. I know that surreal concepts can be something that eventually appear. So anyway, yeah, I agree with you, Donna.
So, Bill, tell me more about that. Was it a matter of, the possibility of getting married again for you was too surreal or unreal that it didn't feel possible for you? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yes, in fact, it was more than that. It was like, you know what? I'm not really going to fret about this anymore. Okay, I'm just going to let whatever dream appears in my mind to take it over, and maybe it'll become a reality, and maybe it won't.
Well, I
And
like what you said,
and
Bill. No,
and
go
it
ahead.
is interesting, Donna. By the way, Donna, it was a surreal concept because I actually saw the woman that I am now married to for life, as far as I'm concerned. Um, I saw her, what was it, 5 years before I actually met her, and yet I never forgot actually seeing her as I passed by in front of her house on one occasion for not more than what, 15 seconds, and her image was burned into me. And then I basically forgot it because I assumed she was married, okay, happily married, and went on with my life. Like, okay, well, you know, you can't worry about that one. Well, that was the one that eventually, when I did meet her 5 years later, she wasn't married, and we did get married. So, you know, surreal, yes.
How exciting.
And
Well,
by the way, I have some more. I have some more here. Yes, as a single mom of five, the men I did date successfully were overwhelmed with the concept of children, but always felt they were falling in love, but couldn't handle the instant family. Um, and now I'm older, and it is another form of complication. Oh, yeah, right, right. Yeah, age. Yeah. Well, I just got married, what was it, in 1999, and I'm 65 now, Donna. So don't worry about it, okay? Because I didn't think I was ever going to get married again. Not after getting married at 30, I think it was 33. Yeah, 33, 30 or something. It only lasted a couple of years too. So, yeah, you know, you never know. You never know. You know, you hold on to the surrealistic pillow, as Jefferson Airplane once put it, and see what happens. You know, the white rabbit might show up.
well, and you know what? With my private clients, one of the strategies that I give them is to write down everything you want in that what is now a surreal, out of your reach spouse. All of the attributes, all of their characteristics, their moralities, everything about them that you want and to put out there in this world. And whether you believe in, whether for you that's God or the universe, you would be amazed at how someone shows up that fits that profile. And I really uh, am saddened for the gal that mentioned that everything was kind of copacetic except for the children. And that's something that has to be on the list. They have to be a person with whom accepts and loves and adores your children, or else there's going to be division and strife in the relationship going forward. And then the second thing that I asked them to do is list all of those things that you are willing to be for that new spouse. For example, coming out of a divorce, you may have discovered things about yourself that you would like to transform or change. As an example, I am will freely admit to you that I was an extremely angry, bitter, resentful person coming out of the divorce. And you know what? I did not want to bring that baggage into a new relationship because I knew that it would give me the same results. So not only do what do you want in your ideal spouse, but what is it that you're willing to be or become, or what baggage are you willing to let go of in order to be the person for that person as well, that kind of spouse that you've always wanted to be. Thank you so much, Bill, for sharing. Let's go on. In order to shift to a new mindset, a new perspective, it's really important to recognize those areas along along your new path that are you're going to get tripped up at. That's natural, isn't it? So I have developed 5 stages of divorce recovery that can help navigate you through the storms of these transitions, things that will help keep you on track and make you aware of where you are in those stages. These stages are very much like any grief that we go through, because let's face it, going through, say, the grief of the death of a loved one is very much, we have the same feelings as the death of a marriage. So let's dive in. Number one, denial. And yes, it's more folks than that river in Egypt. The first stage of a grieving process is denial. It's a very natural one. It's very much like a physical shock after a horrible car accident. We just shut down and until we can better deal with the pain. I myself, again, wanted to just bury my head under the covers and not want to deal with anything. I didn't want to face it. It was just too much. It was just too painful. For those of you that are able to chat, type in the chat box. Um, you know what? Just type the word yes if you experience that, that normal and natural sense of denial when divorce first became a reality for you. And Bill, let me know if we've got any yeses in the chat box so I know uh, what stages our folks are going through.
Okay, I will. I was actually replying to, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. We've got a comment here. Not certain about denial, relief more so, and I would agree. That's exactly what happened to me too. Yeah, okay. You had a lot of guilt as well, so which was what I was going to say. I did have a lot of guilt. That, hey, listen, obviously I was not the best actor here in this 2-person drama. Um, so yeah, I had my guilt, and so did others.
Good
And
to know.
yeah, and that's right. And no one had ever divorced in their family either in the past. And that same thing, of course, with me. I mean, my parents, and in fact, there was nobody. Well, wait a second. Now I correct myself. That DC uncle, yeah, he divorced his wife, but rightly so, since she never really lived with them. He was in the army and he traveled a lot. He was an officer in the army too, so he really traveled a lot. And the wife was never in any of the postings that he ever went to, which was we always thought was a little weird. So when he came back from Germany the second time, he came back with a new wife. I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. But other than that, that was the only, and we didn't even know that he had divorced his wife because we didn't understand what divorce was in the first place. Nobody else had ever been divorced, and still to this day has never been divorced except for him. So anyway, but yeah, the guilt, because I knew, hey, my parents used to have heated discussions, but uh, what marriage doesn't have a heated discussion, when you're trying to raise four kids and you're living on salaries that are not really the highest level of salaries and all that stuff. But um, oh, oh, oh boy, wow, okay. Let me give you some more information about this. The guilt was with my family, not with the marriage. She had to divorce him because he was in the United States Marine Corps. And though she loved him, he just wasn't happy. He was highly intelligent, though. And her parents were married for nearly 60 years. Yeah. Same thing with my parents. Nearly 60 years. In fact, I think they did hit 60 years just before my dad passed away. My mom is still going, but um, but yeah.
And Bill, that's not uncommon at all.
Hmm.
The pressure of standards outside of our own experience, friends, family, co-workers, whatever the case may be, and the admission that your marriage was perhaps not successful, where others around you, especially family members, that had a successful marriage for 20, 40, 60 plus years. And that guilt is a very debilitating emotion, and something that needs to be relieved of. And, oftentimes it involves a process of self forgiveness, being able to release ourselves and forgive ourselves for the part that we took in that marriage, because none of us are completely innocent. All of us have had some part of it, even if it's a small part. And in order to be able to release that guilt, it does involve that forgiveness and a knowledge and an understanding and acceptance that some marriages just simply don't work no matter what we do or how hard we try. Sometimes it is just simply nothing more than a not a good match. So that is really great feedback. I love it. Let's go on to number two. Number two is releasing negative emotions. We're kind of on topic, aren't we? Experiencing those negative emotions either towards yourself, towards others, or just about the situation is extremely normal. However, it doesn't mean that it's any less destructive. So what I'd like to encourage folks that are experiencing that currently, to acknowledge whatever it is that we are feeling, whether it be that guilt, the anger, fear, depression. It honestly is, or grief, that is the first steps towards the actual healing process. For those of you that have the tendency to bury those emotions and hope that they just simply dissipate, uh, let me encourage you to acknowledge them as opposed to suppressing them. Uh, and the reason is this: I promise you this. Those emotions that are not dealt with and expressed and acknowledged, very much like an emotional volcano, they will come back and erupt on you. And oftentimes it's in the most not so appropriate place or time. So, and this is where it's really important to have a trusted friend, pastor, rabbi, coach, counselor that you can be completely honest with, and someone who validates whatever emotion you are experiencing. You know, remember Henry Ford's famous quote, the unexamined life is not worth living. And so these emotions must be dealt with, whatever they are. It's completely natural and human. And just like the little graphics at the bottom of the slide says, you know, disowning or trying to suppress those feelings will not help you, they will hurt you in the end. Um, so, you know what? As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do this. If you will type in the chat box, what is the dominant emotion that you are currently dealing with? And as you're typing in there, uh, have already shared with you, but I will again. I think my, well, two biggest dominant emotions was anger, and then out of the anger grew resentment. I was one ticked off lady. I was so furious with my, and by the way, I took no at the time responsibility or fault whatsoever. I was under the delusion that I was completely uh, innocent as driven snow. I was just white as could be. It was none of my fault. All my ex's fault, 100%. And so I that gave me the right, I thought, to be completely angry with him for failing me, for failing us, for failing the marriage. Uh, and obviously later on I figured out that, oh well, I did probably have a much larger part of it than I actually realized. So Bill, what are some of the dominant emotions that our folks are struggling with?
Well, it's rather interesting. This dominant emotion confused, why I didn't get the 60-year husband. Right. Yeah. Hey, if your parents were married for 60 years, you figure, hey, when I get married, it'll be for 60 years, right? That's a reasonable assumption, right? Since they produced me, I would know. And that's exactly the same thing that Donna says too. She's confused why she didn't get the 60-year husband.
And you know what? That is a completely natural emotion when you're going through that experience, confusion as to, we have a tendency to try to analyze and dissect, or dissect, I should say, what happened, why it didn't go right, why I didn't get that a husband for 60 years that you deserve, that we all deserve. And my only commentary on that is to be cautioned to try very hard not to go fall into the blame game, and here's why. If you are if you have the tendency of, certainly like I did, to try to figure out what went wrong, and then you know where that trail goes mentally, oftentimes it goes right down the path of, well, he didn't do this and he wasn't that and he screwed that up and blah blah blah. And why that is so debilitating is because it it disempowers you, because when you put responsibility and blame on another person, it keeps you from having any sense of responsibility or control over the situation. Because if it's you know, the blame goes to somebody else, then you have no power to fix, change, or correct. So be balanced in that thought process, because we want to empower you to take control over your life, learn the lessons that needed to be learned from the situation, take those good lessons and the knowledge and the things that are in your control, uh, thus empowering yourself and not disempowering yourself to move towards the life that you do deserve and dream, and that spouse that is right for you, that's going to be a partner for you, will show up just like they did for Bill.
Shan, and one other thing, since we're talking about dealing with negative emotions, suppose the that spouse was abusive too.
Oh, great comment. And you know what? That's a very difficult thing to do, is to be dealing with. And a lot of my clients have gone through the same experience where they were either abusive, physically, spiritually, uh, verbally, and in many different ways. And the thing that is most helpful in that scenario is gratitude. Gratitude that you're not in that environment anymore. Gratitude that you've got out of it. Gratitude that you no long that you're in a safe place, that you no longer have to. And you know what? Gratitude for yourself, if you were the one that initiated getting out of it, that you had enough sense of worth, that you don't deserve this. And by the way, nobody does.
Mm,
And even if the other one took the initiative, gratitude that number one, you're not in that environment, and a commitment that you will never ever allow yourself to go through, allow to be abused in any way whatsoever, because you are worth so much more than that. And you know, uh, focusing more towards the present and the future, and letting go of the past will enable you to create a new path of hope and joy and happiness, as opposed to, there's a time to reflect on the past, but then there's also a time, depending on where you are in your stage, to begin to shift towards the future and what you want, as opposed to what you were in and what you didn't want. As a matter of fact, um, the next step does have to do with that very thing. And let me go on to number three, and that is acceptance. Boy, what a great segue you offered, Bill, because acceptance recognizes that the past is truly the past. It's over and it's done with. And it's a matter of just little by little releasing it and letting it go. And is this a difficult one? Oh, absolutely. And your path may take longer than others, and that's okay. Give yourself permission to learn to let go as you are able to. And it does help bring about a desire to live in the present and where you are now and what you want to create in your new life, and perhaps even get ready to step forward into the future. Remember, this is it's a progress. It's not all going to happen overnight. Acceptance comes little by little. uh, Living in the present comes little by little, and even just starting to look towards the future with hope and how you want to create that. The beautiful thing about this is that this is one of the rare occasions in life, as awful as divorce is that we have or are going through. The beautiful aspect of divorce is that you get to recreate who you are and who you want to be. You get to look back and say, you know what? I became someone that is not really who I am. And that's something that I do have control over. And I choose to make those changes and move forward in my present and future life. and recreate, uh, reinvent, if you will. We've heard that word a lot, for example, with actors and actresses. We get to do the same thing. I had, and I went through the same thing, and it took me years because I became a very resentful, negative, angry person, and I didn't like that person. And again, I didn't want to take that baggage into a new relationship. So those were the things that I had to focus on to be able to release and forgive and let go of the anger that ate me up like a cancer. And years later, I am more of a loving, accepting person than I'm a better person than I ever dreamed I even ever would be. And believe it or not, it was the divorce that shifted me. So if you could think of things like that, uh, and you get to magically think of everything you've ever wanted to be. Number four is forgiveness. Forgiveness is about releasing that animosity towards yourself and others. It does free you to pave the way to establish new relationships with healthy patterns, healthy boundaries. Forgiveness is really more about you. And talk about the person that was married to somebody that was perhaps abusive. uh, this forgiveness is, again, if you think about it from their perspective, they don't deserve your forgiveness. They don't have they a right to it. They haven't earned it. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about releasing the toxic animosity within you so that you are free to go about being that whole, healthy person. Nelson Mandela once said, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. And I love that. You know why? Because resentment is, or unforgiveness, it's like drinking poison and then hoping they'll die. It doesn't hurt them at all. Whether you are still bitter or angry or resentful or in any type of unforgiveness, it doesn't affect them at all. So if you can think of it as more of a selfish act, this is in a good way, in a healthy way. This is for me. I'm going to release not because they deserve it, but because I do. Bill, what are your thoughts on forgiveness?
Well, I'll tell you, the that is that's got to be one of the great blessings of accepting like Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, because for me, I didn't even think about forgiveness before that time. Like basically whatever I did or somebody else did. I just basically said, okay, either you ignore it, which of course I wasn't doing, or um, or that you think, well, that person doesn't have that power over me, and of course they did. Uh, but it was like almost ignorance is bliss, but that was a false blissedness, whatever you want to call it. It was false because guess what? That, like you said, that those actions and those words and those intentions of others were still inside of me. And of course, they were working their magic, the poison, and basically me thinking that, hey, I'm free from all of that. I'm clear from all of that, which I wasn't. So when I forgave my first person after understanding that, hey, you better do that, no matter what, whether you think that they had an impact or not. I felt this sense of freedom that encouraged me to forgive everybody for any word that they said against me or that wasn't in harmony with how I was thinking or anything. And I do it regularly. I do it all the time. As a person who um, is, sort of a leader in a number of areas and stuff. When you're meeting with people, they're going to say something that maybe you don't, you don't realize it, but that's going to have an impact on you, negative impact. So after those meetings, I just say, "Forgive them, Father," and
Well,
um, and I sort of clear the decks on a regular basis. So not a problem.
I I love that. And you know what? You said something that was very powerful that may be uh, very helpful to our participants tonight, and that is this. Uh, when you are in unforgiveness about what happened in your relationship, albeit horrible, terrible, they could have been abusive, when you are unwilling to release them for your benefit, they have power over you. And when I first was approached with that concept, the last thing I wanted was that ex to have I didn't want to have anything to do with them, much less have power over me. And quite frankly, that ticked me off. And to know that they had this hold on me, this power over me, that, I'm still going around and around the mulberry bush of all the crap that he did to me and how he ruined my life and, blah, blah, blah. We all know what those mental thought processes are, and he still has power. I tell you what, I wanted to learn forgiveness, know forgiveness, understand how to forgive, and oftentimes it's a progressive thing. It's not just a one time. Okay, I choose to forgive him, and nothing ever comes back on me. It does, but I learned that if I did not want that person to have that kind of power over me, that it would behoove me to release them, to forgive, because I certainly didn't want to walk through the remaining years of my life, whether I had 20, 40, 60 years left, and have that person have power over me. So that may be a perspective that's actually really resonating with someone out there that, they don't either. And so that may give you the impetus to begin to consider releasing and letting go. I promise you, you're going to breathe much better. You're going to feel much better. Let's go on to number five. Number five is a biggie. It's self worth. Nothing damages our self worth. Nothing like having the person that you loved withdraw that love. The end of your relationship may have damaged your sense of worth and value. And I predict that it probably did. It certainly does most of us. But here's the thing, it's really important to remember that your ex spouse did not take the love with them. The love still resides in you. Now, this is again, a new shift, a new mindset, a new perspective. So let me ask you, and this came from my illustrious um, co-founder of Tony Robbins, Chloe Madonis. When she first said this, it was a new concept to me, and I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? So let me elaborate for you a little bit. Do you remember? Think back to the time when you first fell in love. What would you do for that person? What were you willing to give? Anything, right? Well, that love that you had for them still lives in you. And this is the time that you can direct that love towards yourself to bring about healing, to bring about a new sense of self worth, self compassion, self care, to bring about your entire healing that you so need and deserve. So don't ever think that that love was sure. Did they take their love? Absolutely. but the love that resides in you can be reinvigorated. And the first person that it needs to be directed towards is yourself. And the more that you're able to love yourself, the more you're able to bring back your sense of confidence and worth and value as a human being. um, there are so many different exercises as well to bring back that sense of worth. With my private coaching clients, one of the ones that is the most simple and yet the most effective is to write down all at least 50 of your positive attributes, characteristics about yourself. And I'm not talking about what you have or what you own. I'm talking about those internal things that make you a worthy human being. You're lovely, you're funny, you're smart, you're witty, you're compassionate, you're able to forgive, whatever it is. I encourage you to write down at least 50 character traits about yourself. And then when those days come, and they do, of self doubt, you can pull out that list and remind yourself of all of the amazing qualities, character traits, attributes that are within you that nobody can take. What are your thoughts, Bill, or do we have anything, any conversations in the chat box? We're actually running a little bit longer, so I'm going to go ahead and um, wrap up unless, Bill, you have a comment or there's anything we need to address in the chat box.
Um, just the fact that raising children has been a blessing, and I suspect that that does add a great deal of self worth and a sense of value about who you are.
It absolutely does, because what does it take to raise children? It takes patience, it takes self control, it takes giving when you feel like you don't have anything else to give. The qualities that it draws upon to raise quality children is absolutely amazing. And those are such a good point, Bill, because you could come up with 10 or 20 attributes about yourself just in raising children, and certainly not an easy thing to do if you're on your own. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to tell you that why you are healing from divorce, it is absolutely possible to be able to direct that rudder of your mindset in positive, healthy, forward thinking ways. And as you practice, and there's times that you may get off course, but you can bring yourself back and practice, and the boat of your new life will reach that destination of your dreams. I'm one here to tell you that I was able to do that. And yes, it took a long, hard work and a lot of internal work, but you can create the life that you have wanted, that you desired, that you've always wanted to be, to do, to have that spouse that treats you in a manner that you are fully, fully worthy of. And as we wrap up tonight, I want to give you uh, actually not one, not two, but three gifts just from my heart to yours. And my first gift to you is you can sign up for my newsletter and download a free PDF report on masterful mindsets during divorce, which may be very helpful to you. It's located on my website. Here's a picture of what it looks like. And I believe that Bill will bring up that link in the right hand side of your margin. And the arrow indicates that it's going to be on any page that you go to, but the home page is which is where it will, this link will take you to sign up for that Masterful Mindsets During Divorce PDF. It's going to help keep you on track. And I might mention to you that uh, if that's something that you feel would be a service to you, go ahead and click on that link now. It's going to open it in a new window or a new tab or a new browser. Here's why: because after the webinar is over, that window will still be up for you so that you can sign up for it at your leisure after the webinar is over. And Bill, of course, I can't see what they're seeing. So do we have that link up for them?
Well, I'm going to ask them if they're looking at their right-hand margin now. They should see a little button that says download your free guide and mastering mindset during divorce. And if you can see that, before you click on it, just give me a quick yes so that I know that you are seeing it. Okay, great, wonderful. Please click on it. It will open up a new tab or a new window on your browser, so you don't have to worry about it once you click on it, because then it'll be up and the window will be up or the tab will be up, and you can take a look at that and sign up and get your free guide. Um, and so
Bill,
yeah, so
that
that's done. So they see it. They can see it,
that's great.
which is
Thank
great.
you, Bill. So
Uh, I'm sorry.
my second gift is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bill. My second gift is for a woman who is right now live on the webinar today who is dealing with divorce. I would like to offer a full hour of complimentary coaching, no cost, no obligation whatsoever, just my gift to you. So if that is something that you are currently dealing with, since that is my specialty, the first woman that finds themselves in this situation, I would like you to type in the chat box your first name, and then just simply the first initial of your last name. We want to protect your anonymity, but go ahead and type in there. Bill's going to be watching out for the chat box, and the first woman that does so is going to receive from me a full hour of complimentary coaching. And I will pour into you everything I possibly can, deal with your particular dominant
Let
emotion.
me let me just ask you a question. Somebody was volunteered and somebody has volunteered. Um, which choice would you like to make?
Okay, so the
That
criteria.
person knows that they made a suggestion, and then they put in their own name. But would
So
you
you
like the suggestion or would you like your own name? And all
okay?
you have to do is just type that in. Which one would be your preference?
So are you, Bill? Are you saying they're suggesting somebody else?
Yes.
No, it has to be a person for yourself that is experiencing
Well, let me. I'm not going to clarify the situation any more than just to say, which person would you like? Okay, you offered one person's name, and then you offered your own name. Which one would you prefer?
oh, you're asking them to type it in the chat
Yes,
box.
yes, I am.
All right, it can't be somebody they suggest for somebody else. It has to be for them.
Okay, it is for them. So it is Donna Q.
All right. So I would like to congratulate the winner, Donna Q, for one full hour of free coaching. That's exciting. And Donna, if you would, nobody sees this other than Bill. So I would like you to type in the email address that you would like me to contact you at so that we can make arrangements for you. And Bill will make sure to get that to me. And then I will contact you and we will make arrangements to make that happen. So go ahead and type that email address with which you would like me to communicate with you, and he will get that to me. All right.
Great. I have the email address and I have
Okay.
the name, so
Congratulations,
we're
Mr.
set.
Lilly.
Congratulations, Ms. Winner.
And then my last offer to you for the night, for those of you that are going through this horrible experience and would like to take a deeper dive, as my private clients do with me currently, I would like to go ahead and give you an offer that is a divorce recovery quick start program. And what I mean by that is my typical coaching packages are 2, 4, and 6 months, but I've developed a short 1 month quick start program just to get you kick started, if you will. It includes 4 weeks, so just 1 month in order, and I did that in order to make it extremely affordable. Of 1 hour coaching sessions with me personally, unlimited email access, a 10-minute, I can't wait to talk to Shan telephone call, subscriptions to my newsletters with strategies, techniques, tips, and tools, access to my referral list of a lot of divorce resources that I have developed. And those are attorneys, mediators, financial advisors that specialize in only, like I do, women in divorce. The regular investment package is $595, and I have split it and taken it down by 50% for only a limited time. I'm going to do it for 295, which is a, if you know anything about typical charges of certified life coaches, that is a smoking hot deal. I'm going to I provided a private link for you. This isn't available to the public. It is only available to those live on the webinar and those that listen to the replay. On the bottom is the private link. I am going to leave it up until for 10 days until November 18th. I mean 28th. Today's the 18th. Bill has been gracious enough also to put it in your right hand margin so that you can click on that link and it's going to open it up in a new window, so that when we close the webinar tonight, you still will have that up if it's something that you want to just mull over and think about. I have no problem with that. I am not a believer in um, doing things like others have done, where you have to decide in the next 30 minutes and pressure and push. That is not who I am or what I'm about. So I like to think things through. Maybe you do too. Bring up the window even if you're mildly considering it, so you have got it available for you.
And Shan, I'm going to interrupt you for a quick second. I'm going to remove the free guide download offer and put up the offer that Shan is describing right now. Okay, so
And
bear with me, and while you guys are continuing the conversation, I'm going to do that right now. Okay,
and
so if you haven't clicked on the free guide button yet, please do so. Like I said, it will not interrupt you from the webinar itself. It'll just bring up a new window or a new tab, but please click on it now, and then I'm going to give you the other offer. Okay, thank you very much.
while Bill is doing that, I just want to say thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to you, Bill. Bill Thomas with Leadership Skills Training and Executive Development Coaching. If you ever know of anybody or perhaps yourself that need that type of coaching, he is an amazing uh, executive and leadership coach. But also I would like to thank you, our participants, our webinar attendees. I thank you for the time. I thank you for sharing your hearts. I thank you for sharing uh, your struggles with us, because as you share, you may be surprised to know that it helps others to know that they may be experiencing the very same thing. And somehow that validates all of us to know that we're not alone and we have those same types of feelings and struggles and hardships, and that we are in this together. And so I honor each and every one of you for attending. I apologize. We did go a little bit longer. That is in part due to your great interaction. So, for those of you that wished it would have gone a little bit faster, I apologize. But it was very important for us all to be able to have a voice to share. So, I honor you for that. And Bill, were we able to get that link up for?
Yes, we do have it up there. I'm going to just ask if you do see the special offer for Shan's Quick Start Recovery Program in the right hand side. And you can click on that, and that also will open up a new tab or a new window as well. So you can read through it and just um, see exactly what Shan is offering. I think it's a fantastic deal in every sense of the word. And and some people have already bookmarked it. So cool. And that also goes for the people who see the replay. They'll see this as well. And I do apologize. I have a tendency to do 2 and 3 hour webinars myself. So actually, Shan, you did extremely well because this is almost half the length of my free webinars anyway. So yeah, you did a great job, and thank you also, Shan, Donna, Lily, and Mary Ellen too, um, for sharing your thoughts and your situations with us. And yeah, I'm going to get off now, and I'm going to let Shan finish this up. And we did get thank yous. We got thank yous and much appreciations for you, Shan, and for going through going through this. And anyway, I'm off. Okay, that's it. I can't say anymore.
All right, Bill, thank you. And for those of you, we know that there are those of you that are on that, maybe on devices, didn't have the ability to chat. We'd like to thank you for being on. I think we've given enough time for those to bookmark that, but in the worst case scenario, we are going to share the replay. So if you were originally on our email distribution list, you will also get the opportunity to see the replay. And so if for some reason you lose the link, don't worry. You'll get it again. And then please do share with those out there that are going through this very difficult time. Forward it to your girlfriends, to your coworkers, to your neighbors, to your family members. If this helps them relieve even one iota of emotional trauma, it would be a blessing to me to know that my cohorts in life that have had to travel the same path could be relieved of any type of emotional hardship. So I'm going to say good night to all of you and blessings on each and every one of you. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.
Thank you, Shan. Good night.